Welcome to this DVD where we're going to be looking at a repertoire for black after e4, which involves the classical move e5. This is a very straightforward and solid way to play and can be highly recommended to club players. The responses I will be recommending for black are by and large extremely reliable and will suit the club player for their ease of understanding and ability to just play them naturally and straightforwardly. We don't want too complicated a repertoire for black. We're aiming for straightforward play. So I guess we have to consider white's second moves first. Moves like f4, moves like knight c3, moves like d4, independent moves other than knight f3. And so the first opening I'm going to consider is d4, the immediate opening of the centre game in fact, which could turn into a Danish Gambit. It's an opening which went out of fashion for a long while. I mean, it was played by players such as Mises back in the 1920s, didn't really catch on, and it wasn't seen again really till the 1990s, when creative grandmasters started to experiment with queen takes d4 in this position, and white started to win some games. Needless to say, black has good responses against queen takes d4. We'll be looking at that next, but I first of all want to consider the Danish Gambit. This is the type of thing mad attacking club players tend to use, particularly if they've studied books like Gambitier from Grandmaster Nigel Davis, where he recommends this way of playing. Young players might play this as well. They like to open up the game. They like to go after f7 early. They like to create complications. They like to sacrifice. Well, we are going to diffuse all that with d5. I think this is a very good move. It leads to a position where black is equal without too much trouble. It enables black to bring out the pieces quickly. It's straightforward too. This is exactly what black needs. At the Grandmaster level, you might need something a bit more complicated. So you play one of the other continuations. But remember, we're concentrating on straightforward play. So in view of the attack on e4, white generally takes on d5. I mean, there aren't really many other moves. Believe it or not, Bolligan once played e5 in a rapid game against a 2100 player. Well, I think there just d takes c3. White can actually claim no compensation for the pawn in this position, as after knight takes c3, black goes d4. Meanwhile, after b takes c3, black just plays knight c6. In either case, with a nice free game and an extra pawn. This was one experiment I doubt Bolligan will be repeating, as he failed to beat this 2100 in a game from Calvi 2008. So going back to our feature game, which is Herzog versus Fleer, two very strong players from Graz 1984, white took on d5 and black recaptured with the queen, so it can't be more straightforward than that. White took on d4 and now black started to put pressure on the centre immediately with knight c6. And in fact what we're doing is transposing back into a Goring Gambit declined. So actually the way we're playing this with black can be used also against the Goring Gambit, which we'll be looking at a little later on this DVD. So the characteristic of black's game is that all his pieces can come out freely. Fleer played bishop to g4. White breaks the pin, and now comes bishop to b4 check, another good move. Now it's worthwhile pointing out in this position that black cannot win a pawn with bishop takes f3. This is in fact a serious error, as after bishop takes c6 check, white takes away the protection from black's queen and black loses the game. Going back to the game itself, bishop b4 check just straightforwardly develops the bishop. And Herzog plays knight to c3. Now comes Capablanca's old continuation, bishop takes f3. A gratuitous sacrifice of the bishop it seems, but black's idea is to go queen c4. And this is a surprisingly difficult move to meet. We're going to be taking a look in the next game at various continuations for white from this position, but in my opinion none of them give him any sort of advantage. Herzog tries a very dubious move here, bishop e3. He's trying to, by sacrificing a pawn, get some chances against the black queen. For instance, white's threatening a move like rook c1 here. But black plays very accurately. He plays queen c4 to extricate his queen, and then he goes knight ge7, giving the knight on c6 reinforcements. Rook c1, and now Fleer captured on a2. Well, it's obvious that white's got to stir up some trouble pretty quickly, and he tried d5. Black put his knight in on e5, and now bishop e4. Otherwise that bishop would just be removed. And now black played f5. White must find something quick here, or he's going to be losing on material. He tried rook c2. Black went queen b3, and now d6, opening up the game. And the point of d6 is that if black takes this, then we go rook c8 check, with a discovered attack against the unprotected black queen. Fleer is on the ball, and he goes rook d8. Queen h5 check g6, d takes e7, and then g takes h5. Saw white's position in ruins. We just dropped back to the position after rook d8. It was getting very difficult for white. I mean, his position is creaking. The pawn on d6 is pinned. Black's threatening rook takes d6. Black's also threatening to take this bishop off. Queen h5 check smacks of desperation. And now g6 just leaves too many white pieces attacked. So, summarising, I'm going to be recommending d5. This line can be used against both the Goring Gambit and the Danish Gambit, and is thus a multifunction idea. It worked well in this opening game. Let's go on in the next game to look at other things that white can do against it.